Hey everyone, welcome into another episode of Ask the Experts here at Fantasy Pros. I am Lauren Carpenter, and I am joined by my amazing co-host, Tara Roberts, and both of us are here for you all season long. We are answering your burning questions that you may have for all of us fun people here at Fantasy Pros, and that's what we're here for. We're doing this every single week. These are dropping to you on Friday, so make sure that you like the video because we sure like that. And also don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so, because in order for your question to be eligible for us to see and answer and dive in for you, you need to be subscribed to all of our social media channels. For example, if you want to ask us a question on Instagram, you need to be following us on Instagram. If you want to ask us a question on YouTube, you need to be subscribed to our YouTube channel. You get the gist. And also do not forget to have that hashtag AskTheExpert so that we can find your questions in order for us to pick them out and help you. It's week 4, Tara. Can you believe it? It's like football is moving right along. It's absolutely crazy.
Crazy. It feels like we just started, but we're a quarter of the way almost through once we wrap this up. So very exciting.
That's a horrible, yeah, my gosh. But there are people right now who have some serious questions, especially with all of these injury concerns that are going around. And, Christian McCaffrey killed me in a few leagues, but hey, that's all right. And did I get Chuba Hubbard? No. So, wonderful, wonderful. But let's jump on in. It's not about us. It is about you, the listeners, the participants. It's about you is what this show is all about. And so let's dive right into our YouTube questions. We have one from Trevor Soldier. And I put in a couple of trade questions in our episode today, Tara, because you're like my trade guru. So he has one. He said, would you trade Deebo Samuel for Allen Robinson? What do you think?
So I want to say yes, but my problem is that Deebo's situation is just so incredibly appealing. And when I saw this question, I got really excited because I went to look at the schedule just to confirm. And let me start to read it off. And, if I trail on too long, I'll stop. But let's go. Seattle, Arizona, Indianapolis, Chicago, Arizona, Rams, Jacksonville, Minnesota, Seattle. It's just kind of crazy, right? The entire way throughout the entire season, they're in games where the defense is either insanely bad or the offense that they're facing is so good that they're going to have to be chucking the ball to keep up. So I just really like Deebo's situation. I mean, if you want to do it, it's not a bad move. I would maybe try it with another player. I just don't want to give up Deebo in this situation.
Yeah, I see the appeal for wanting to trade Deebo high because he has been coming off these huge games. And I think it might only be a matter of time before this starts to be an Ayuk show or when Deebo possibly gets hurt and then we don't have him for a while, which he's kind of known to do. So I totally get the appeal of this. Allen Robinson is still kind of a wild card, but again, he's sort of quarterback proof. So I don't hate this trade because if you really are banking on Deebo Samuel kind of disappearing as the season progresses, I get it. But if you do want to hang on to Deebo, I get that too. So really, this is whatever you want to do. I don't think it's a bad trade. Like Tara and I both are like, yeah, you should trade him. You should keep him. So there really isn't something here that's like, yes, must sell. I think it's just going to be whatever you are most comfortable with, Trevor. And then moving right along, Jared Wade, also from YouTube, start Aaron Rodgers or Justin Herbert. It's crazy.
Yeah.
What world we live in now?
Yes. So I think you do have to start Aaron Rodgers because Pittsburgh isn't as tough of a matchup as we make it out to be in our head. We think, Pittsburgh, incredible defense, that's who they are. But actually, they've been really vulnerable against the pass, especially the past 2 weeks in a row. So, personally, I would start Aaron.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat here. I love Justin Herbert, don't get me wrong. And there's nothing better or more dramatic than having a Monday night player, and especially with someone like Justin Herbert, you could have that dramatic comeback victory. I don't need that much drama in my life, and you have two really, really good quarterbacks here. So trade one of them. If you need pieces elsewhere, there is so much capital behind both of those names that you have the opportunity to get rid of one of those so that you don't have to deal with this. And then just pick somebody up off the waiver wire when you're dealing with a bye week, or maybe do it after one of their bye weeks. But you got a lot of capital here. I don't think you need to keep both of those quarterbacks on your roster. Unless it's like a super flex, and in that case, you'd be playing both of them anyway. So start Aaron Rodgers here, but both great QBs. All right, and then KM17 from YouTube. Thoughts on AJ Green? 2017 called. They want most of their wide receivers back. And, okay, they're going up against the Rams. It's a really tough matchup, as we know. But the other options here are Corey Davis and Julio Jones. And, Tara, I'm a little worried because Zach Wilson has kind of petered off a little bit in his production because he's now just throwing to the other team constantly. And Julio Jones may not even play. This is actually bad for the Titans, which is why I built a couple DFS lineups this weekend. I have Nick Westbrook-Ikhine in there. I've got Derrick Henry all over the place. I'm fading Ryan Tannehill, unfortunately, which stinks. So I think you have to play AJ Green, and he's done really well the last 2 weeks. Tara, what do you think?
First of all, I commend you for getting your DFS lineup set already because I have been, for last Sunday, I waited until literally a few hours before kickoff and it was the worst mistake of my life. Usually I get it done Saturday night, but I kind of messed up on that end.
Well, I have to on one of them because I set my brother's lineup for him. Don't tell anyone from his league, my friends. Don't tell anybody. And those include the Thursday night matchup. So I usually do that for him.
Nice.
But, it's neither here nor there. But yes, continue. Yes. AJ Green, thoughts?
Yes. So getting into the question, I like what AJ Green has done this year from the perspective of one, yeah, great, he's been healthy and he's been on the field a lot. He's a constant presence, but you kind of have to get a little bit worried when he's a constant presence and everybody else is, someone else is popping up every single week as the big play target, the touchdown target as well. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually not as concerned. I won't say I'm not concerned about the Jets. I am concerned about the Jets, but when you consider the fact that they're facing Tennessee, I'm a little relaxed on it with Corey Davis because the targets have been there for him, so that's not an issue. It's just a matter of Zach Wilson having time, comfortable, and not throwing interceptions and being more accurate. And I think against Tennessee, he can come through a little bit better than he has. So, and then also keep in mind, Elijah Moore hasn't been a huge contributor in terms of fantasy points, but he has been seeing targets and he's in concussion protocol and he might not even play. So do keep that in mind as well that, it might be good to go with Corey Davis in my opinion. So I do think I would kind of lean towards that way.
Yeah, there you go. So Corey Davis over there. I'm cool with AJ Green. So again, this is another one where go with your gut on this one because your gut's trying to tell you something and it's your team. It's not ours. But that was our expert opinion on that one for you, Rolando. I'm sorry, that wasn't Rolando. That was KM. My bad. Rolando's our next question from YouTube. My bad. I like saying that. Rolando.
Yes.
Rolando last from YouTube. Full PPR. Pick 2. This is so intriguing. Okay, Robert Woods, Brandin Cooks, or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Okay, I'm going to jump in here real quick. All right. Because I love Robert Woods so much. And I'm waiting for the game when it's not the Cooper Kupp game and defenses are like, oh yeah, this guy's really good. We should double coverage. We should plan for this person to be absolutely explosive. And there has to be a Robert Woods game, right? There has got to be one that is coming up. But then again, at the same time, I'm like, I don't know how much I want to rely on it. So I think Brandin Cooks, no matter what, because it's PPR and he's basically their only receiver, he's just a stud. So Brandin Cooks for sure. I'm going to lean Clyde Edwards-Helaire here, Tara, but you, I think, are going in the other direction. Okay, I want to hear this because I need faith. Help me.
So we concur 100% on Brandin Cooks. It's crazy. No matter who's throwing to him, even if it's a crazy matchup, he just still seems to get his. So yeah, 100% out of this lineup, Brandin Cooks. And then where I differ is that I would go with Robert Woods. I mean, like you, I'm holding faith. And
I need it.
There's no issue there. We just need him to see the targets. And when I'm putting him next to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I get a little bit worried about CEH because the problem is I do anticipate that even though it was a good match or it was a good performance from Mahomes from a fantasy perspective, technically, it was not a good performance from him. And I think that he's that guy that wants to come back out there and showcase that wasn't me. I'm fantastic. I'm number one. And that might leave CEH a little bit out in the cold.
Yeah, I hear you too. They are playing against the Eagles, which on paper is not the greatest matchup. But again, it's the Eagles. And as a person who has multiple BFFs who are Eagles fans, they are guaranteeing this is going to be a Mahomes blowout. So, there's that too. So I think maybe you can think of it this way. Robert Woods would be your ceiling play. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire could be a safety play with a capped ceiling. So if you think about it that way, whatever it is that your roster needs are there, Rolando, I hope that helps. But we both agree on Brandin Cooks for sure. All right, and then let's move on to another platform. We're going to go to Twitter, and Ethan Brooks Courtland Sutton or Jakobi Meyers. I love both of these guys, but I'm like a Courtland Sutton truther, and especially with this news that KJ Hamler is out for the season, there's only 2 wide receivers here, and they're going to be seeing a lot of targets, and that is Courtland Sutton and that is Tim Patrick. Now, that does mean a little bit more defenses keying in on them, which is kind of stinky, but there are other options around like Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon and Noah Fant that could help spread defenses out a little bit. So I'm going on the Courtland Sutton side. Tara, who you got on this one?
So I think we're on the same mind track here. I do like Courtland Sutton. I have the exact same justification for him and Tim Patrick that you just said. So I love that. I do love Jakobi Meyers. So there we go again.
Yep.
And I've kind of got a little maybe a little strategy thing for you to do here. So Denver plays the afternoon game and then New England plays the night game. Judge how your 1 p.m. lineups go. So if you've got, someone in your 1 p.m. games and they completely tank, maybe you need to go with Jakobi Meyers because I think he has the higher ceiling in this matchup just because of James White going down, and a lot of those targets seem to have gone to Jakobi Meyers. And It makes sense when you're talking about Tampa Bay's defense and where they're vulnerable that it really sets up to be a great Jakobi Meyers game. So if you want to go with that potential upside of him blowing up and having a fantastic game, I would go with Jakobi Meyers. But if your 1 p.m.s go pretty good, you're looking solid, maybe someone on the other team just completely tanked, and you want to go with that safe floor, go with Sutton.
Yeah, I like that. And you bring up a good point about Tampa Bay. After all, they did just sign Richard Sherman to help them in the secondary. He's not playing this week. I'm 99% sure.
Yeah.
He still has to get accustomed to, playing football again and, being on a new team. So I think he's going to be out for a week. So, but yeah, they have issues in their secondary. And so that does make a lot of sense that Jakobi Meyers would be there. But I like that strategy too. And that's what it is. You don't just set a lineup and forget it. Sometimes you got to keep making these rolling changes as the weekend progresses. Especially with that, we have a really fun Monday night game coming up that I have a feeling is just going to be explosive with fantasy points. I am so excited for that game. But let's move along with this show. Jimspiration. I'm sorry, that is the coolest name ever. Jimspiration. I want to rename myself Jim, just so I could have that name. Jimspiration from Twitter, Mike Williams or Darrell Henderson, PPR. I am going Mike Williams here.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, He's been fantastic. There's no argument against it. And then, Henderson's coming off the injury. Even then it's still Williams.
Yep, I agree here. Henderson is banged up. Yeah, he's going to be there. But even if he was fully healthy, Mike Williams. For sure. Speaking of the Monday night game, which I absolutely did not mean to do, but it was a great segue. I think we've done this way too much because we're subconsciously segueing into next questions. Yes. Blake from Twitter. This better not be the Blake that I know because I might sabotage your answer. I'm just kidding. I would never do that. All right. Trade away Christian McCaffrey, Chuba Hubbard, and Amari Cooper to receive Aaron Jones and Stefon Diggs. This is fascinating. I get the reasoning behind this, but I think this is muy caliente, so I might stay, but I don't really love trades like this that have a lot at stake. So Tara, as my trade guru, you go, girl. Go.
I'm less inclined to trade because you have CMC and the handcuff, and unless something goes wildly awry, and Royce Freeman, who did look pretty good in his few amount of carries, but unless somehow the Panthers decide, no, we just want to split the backfield, which they don't typically do, I think you're pretty safe there. I'm kind of curious, because I'm guessing that Amari Cooper is the wide receiver 1 there, and maybe you're sitting in an uncomfortable place, and maybe you're with a, even though CMC has been great, maybe things have happened, and you've got maybe an 0-3 or a 1-2, and you're trying to make something happen at the wide receiver position. So I get that. And in that case, if you're really struggling at receiver and that's the issue, then yeah, I could see where you make this trade because Stefon Diggs is Stefon Diggs, and I can see where he's been all right, but he's going to be better he's going to be himself as the season goes on. So if you are really struggling at wide receiver, I could see where you could make this trade. If not, stay put.
Yep, I agree. Word. That's very hard to give up the stud of all RBs and his insurance policy, which that is very tough for me. All right, Jim from Discord. Chances of Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts bouncing back against the Chiefs. Okay, yeah, there is. And there is a very, very good reason why, because I really like this matchup. Okay, Kansas City has allowed the second most points to the quarterback position. And that's a lot. I mean, it's not like this is just week 1 and 2. We're heading into week 4 here. So we have 3 weeks under our belts that we can see. And these matchups have been, not a walk in the park for Kansas City. So I like that. And they've also allowed the 8th most points to the wide receiver position. And if this game turns into a shootout, which it likely will, there is a lot of opportunity for Devontae Smith to be very heavily involved. Just understand, just by the very nature of how he plays, more of a boom or bust type of guy, but his ceiling is sky high. So yes, I do believe that there is absolutely opportunity for them to have a great bounce back game. Actually, both of these teams are going to have a good bounce back game for fantasy, but like real football, someone has to lose. Maybe. We have ties now, but
yes.
That'd be weird if the Chiefs tied with the Eagles. Any opinion on that one?
I mean, I agree with you. I really have nothing more to add. You nailed it perfectly regarding the Kansas City defense and everything. The only thing maybe is that it's kind of crazy how, Jalen Hurts was technically a top 10 quarterback. Sometimes I think we, see them on the field and like, oh, he looked horrible, and he did. But garbage time is okay in fantasy. I mean, he went out there, he got those garbage time points, he did the thing. So, from that perspective, I was glad to see that he had good production in an awful situation.
Yeah, for sure. All right, now Filberto from Discord. Super cool names this week, P.S.
Yeah.
Filberto from Discord. All right, full PPR, Amari Cooper, Adam Thielen, Brandin Cooks, start 1. Who you got?
So I would go with Thielen. It's just so hard to pivot away from Thielen, and I will take my chances that, yes, he is the touchdown king, and when he doesn't get those touchdowns, it isn't wonderful. But I mean, it's not. It wouldn't be the first time that we saw 4 games in a row or something like that with touchdowns from Thielen. That's pretty good. I like my odds with that. I'll go with that. I think the Cowboys are kind of going to double down on the run since it went so well in the last game, and it might not be the biggest ceiling game from Amari.
Yeah, so I'm going to go kind of the similar way of thinking, but I'm going in a different direction here. I'm actually going to lean on Brandin Cooks because we were talking about the volume. He is a volume monster. So that, to me, provides a safe floor, and I think it's a pretty high floor. To me, just like you said, Amari Cooper is going to be a little bit more boom or bust, and I'm afraid that Adam Thielen is going to be more boom or bust this week because they're playing Cleveland, and Cleveland is very, very good against quarterbacks, and they are very good, especially against wide receivers. Now, where they are the weakest is actually against the tight end position, and when I say weakest, I don't mean by much. It's their defense is legit this year. So I think this may be more of a Tyler Conklin game, so DFS opportunity there for anyone, or a streaming option if you are hurting at tight end position, simply because of the nature of how the Browns are going to be facing the Vikings. But again, it would not surprise me if Adam Thielen has a great game. He's Adam Thielen, for crying out loud. So I would lean Brandin Cooks here for a little bit more just for safety, but I definitely get starting Adam Thielen if you really want to get some little bit more upside, and I think we both agree avoiding Amari Cooper might be a little bit better idea because of the game script and kind of what they're trying to reestablish in Dallas with Zeke. So I like that. And then let's do one more from Discord, and then I'm going to pass it over to you, Tara, so I can get some libations.
Yes.
Got a parched mouth. But Xanax from Discord. That's so funny. Should I stream Kirk Cousins and sit Kyler Murray this week? I get it. Okay, I get it. I get the matchup. I get it. But I don't think that Kirk Cousins has a better matchup here than Kyler Murray. Even if you're just looking at this and not being like, okay, well, obviously you're not going to do that. If you're just looking at from matchup based, I don't like Cousins' matchup, like I said, against the Browns any better than I like Kyler Murray. So give me Kyler Murray all day long.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's Kyler all the time, so I'm not gonna bench him unless it's just kind of like a wild situation. So I'm good there.
Yeah, I've heard so many people ask, like, do I bench Aaron Rodgers for Kirk Cousins? Do I bench Jalen Hurts for Kirk Cousins? Do I bench? I'm like, no. No, don't do that. I get it. Kirk Cousins is a streaming quarterback. When you have, that's what he is really good at. He's not a season-long start. You don't sit your studs for someone like him. If he does really well, I'm sorry, those things happen. Get your upside elsewhere, and so don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. It's Kyler Murray. Okay, your turn. I'm gonna take a sip of my drink.
All right, we'll head over to Instagram with DeParalyzer. Are Nick Westbrook-Ikhine and Chester Rodgers a good start this week? So I do like him this week, particularly Westbrook-Ikhine. All the signs are really pointing there. If you look at the last game with him, all the signs are pointing that it should be him that has the upside in this situation. We don't know for sure that A.J. Brown is out, but yeah, he's probably going to be out. Julio is looking oddly very game time dependent in this situation. So, and even if Julio does play, again, Nick got that touchdown last week, and Julio typically tends to, kind of not get those, and that's the knock. So I do like the upside here for him. Probably not Chester Rodgers. I would lean towards Nick in this situation. Possibly in a flex position. If you're a little needy, I would take that chance if you need the upside.
Yeah, I agree. So Nick Westbrook-Ikhine was the primary beneficiary when A.J. Brown went down early. It was not Chester Rodgers. Chester Rodgers got his opportunity briefly when Julio Jones went down. So Ryan Tannehill was looking at Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. I mean, but don't kid yourself here. This is going to be a Derrick Henry game, so he's going to be involved in the passing game as well. This is if you're pretty desperate, but this is also very sneaky for daily fantasy lineups as well, because his value is incredible in daily fantasy, and he's going to get looks. Chester Rodgers is likely to sniper a touchdown and make everyone angry, but it's going to be, I believe, it's going to be Nick that is going to be the one seeing all of that volume, because they've already proven that is where Ryan Tannehill is going to look first. I think over Chester Rodgers.
For sure. And then moving on to the next question, we've got Gas DC from Instagram. Miles Sanders versus Kansas City or Melvin Gordon versus Baltimore? Lauren, what you got?
Yeah, okay. So I like Miles Sanders here. So we were talking about the Kansas City defense and how, porous they are against wide receivers and against quarterbacks. That doesn't change for running backs either. I think they've allowed the third most fantasy points to the running back position. Something like that. It's ridiculous. They've allowed a lot of points. Even if game script per se is not there because of massive amounts of passing and maybe very high scoring, Jalen Hurts should be relying on Miles Sanders, especially in the passing game, in order just to keep those points rolling and going and moving the chain. So I love both of these running backs, but for me in this situation, I'm going to go Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not the biggest Miles Sanders fan in the world, but the situations are very different.
Oh, that's right. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Inside joke.
Yes. But I mean, when I look at Miles Sanders to Melvin Gordon, they're just in two very different situations. I like Kenneth Gainwell, I really do. His contributions, I think, are important for a potential flex as we move forward. But I don't think that he is taking away the same thing that Javonte Williams is taking away from Melvin Gordon. It's literally like an actual split backfield there, and that's not happening in Philadelphia. So for me, it's definitely the better situation for Miles Sanders.
Awesome. I agree.
And then moving on, I think this is our last question. I
know, because I'm so selfish. I was like, I'm going to read all of the questions because I was having so much fun just going through it.
Yes.
And I only gave you 3 to read. I'm a horrible human being. I am sorry, Tara.
It's all right. These have been fantastic questions this week. I love everything that we're getting. So
love it.
So we've got our last one from Instagram from JStump18. Nyheim Hines or Michael Pittman for the flex spot in PPR. And here I really like both of them. I liked what I saw out of Nyheim Hines last week. I think that will continue moving forward. And I really like Michael Pittman as well. I am going to lean towards Michael Pittman as the steadier option, in my opinion. The Hines is more of he can be game scripted out, technically. And I don't think that really happens with Michael Pittman. So I think he's the safer option, even with Carson Wentz battling it out on his last leg or ankle, per se.
And both of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here with you on this one. I think Michael Pittman is going to be your upside play here. And I think even though Marlon Mack was inactive last week, which makes sense because he wants a trade, we really didn't see anything too amazingly explosive that's going to be like, oh my God, you have to start him. I think it could be a little bit more of a lower floor but safer option, but go with Michael Pittman here. Swing for the fences on these guys because you know he's going to be getting the targets. So Michael Pittman has way more opportunity for big touchdowns and just touchdowns. So I like Michael Pittman here as well. And next time I'm going to make sure that I let Tara read more than just like 3 because I was just on this roll and I was just yakking away. I mean, ask my husband. That's normally what I do all the time. But thank you everyone so much for joining us, for watching this, for liking the video, because I'm sure you have already. Thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel here at Fantasy Pros, and remember to follow us on social media at Fantasy Pros. And also make sure when you want to submit a question or get your question answered, you're following us on our social media channels and you use that hashtag AskTheExperts. We will be here for you all season long. We're going to do this every single week. It is super fun because Tara is amazing, and I heart her. I don't know which side you're actually going to be watching this, so I'm going to do it from there because we never know which side we're going to be on when it gets produced at the end of the day. We'll see you next time. You know what I mean? I'm Lauren Carpenter. You can find me at Stepmom Lauren. She is Tara Roberts. You can find her at It's Tara Time. It's week 4. I can hardly believe it. Good luck, everybody.